Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissack.
We are so excited to bring you another episode of Profit Share Mastery Podcast, where we're focused on helping you learn how to go build wealth through this amazing gift we have called Profit Share. So, Linda, you want to kind of kick us off? We have an amazing guest on today, and we're super excited to have Stephan Meyer with us. It's going to be a great episode.
Yeah, I'm super excited mainly because he's in my downline. No, I'm just kidding. But I think you and I, Press, listen for beautiful stories, and I happen to be in Austin at Millionaire Business Systems, and Jason was kind enough to let Press and I talk about our new Profit Share Advantage book that Press just wrote that he did a beautiful job of. And I said to the audience, I know there's so many great stories out there. We need more. We want to hear them for our Profit Share podcast. And so that's how your name came up to me. So what we're going to have you do, Stephan, is just kind of go back and tell us your story, your journey. I know you get Growth Share, and I know lots of people are interested in that. But if you have Profit Share, I'd love to hear about that too. But when you first joined, was Profit Share, because Growth Share probably wasn't around back then, was that even something you were interested in? Just kind of take us back and bring us forward to today on your journey around it.
So I discovered Keller Williams in 2006, through my partner today. So we opened East Boca Raton, the Market Center 722 in 2007. And, at the time, he took me to the family reunion in Las Vegas, and I discovered a company that I never seen ever in Europe or in the US, in the world, And honestly, I came back extremely excited by one thing. And Gary said, you need to set the goal that you're the most excited by, and you need to tell it to as many people as you can, so it will come true, and what you focus on expands, yeah?
Yeah.
And I came back, and right after, I wrote an email to Gary and Mark Willis at the time, and I told them, I said, what I've seen is amazing. We're going to focus on what we do in Florida, and one day I will take this company to my own country, because I believe this company can bring opportunity to young people, and people who want to change of life, business and jobs. And so it's my role one day to do it, And I told him, I said, there is, over 25% unemployment for the less than 30-year-old in my country.
Wow.
And so our company is an amazing opportunity to create, career and job opportunity, And Gary answered to me within like 24 hours and said, yes, focus on, Boca Raton and opening the market center, and we'll talk about it, as we won't go outside of the US before we are number one in America. So in the meantime, do your Disney, see what people and who you can do it with. And Mark pretty much sent me back also an email the same way. And at the time, to be honest with you, Linda, I didn't have and understood, like you, I think it took you many years to understand the profit share. I had no clue about that. As you see, my goal was to bring back this diamond or this treasure that I found here to my country, And so we work on Boca Raton. 2012 happened. In the meantime, we doubled the size of the company during the second largest recession of the country. So that was, like you say, you always talk about validity, And for me, in my heart, it was making this company was making even more sense, I had the chance to be in the first FSO for foreigners in 2012,
Okay.
With our friends from Turkey and Mexico and other countries, South Africa. And all that is a follow-up and following of amazing, in your heart, and you know that because you love to meet people. Just all this action, all those moments are so full of memories, and it fill up your heart, because everybody's moving to bring this web of culture and this web of business and profitability around the world, And I do believe we are very different than others, I was with a different franchise before for 10 years when I moved to America. I was wearing a gold jacket, and it wasn't the same. It
Yeah.
was corporate, and Linda, I'm a eye on the disc, so I love people. And in 10 years in this previous company, nobody ever took me to one of their national events. Nobody. Nobody tapped on my shoulder and said, Stephan, jump in the car. And for me, the story at Keller Williams started by being invited to that. And then I never missed one. And I all went to all the mega camp. And you know that because you're part of the story. When Jim gave me so many hours with candidates that I introduced to you, and I said, would you give me an hour to go speak at the corner at the sport bar, you remember? And you always been the same, you and Jim and Nikki and Gary, you poured into me and you gave me a lot, and you gave a lot to the candidates and people I was bringing. And thanks to you, France was born at one point, so the email was in 2007. France was born in 2017, so we signed at Mega Camp 2016, August 9. And so, things doesn't open overnight, like we say. It took 10 years, So like you say in your call, you have to follow up with people, and some people are going to join us in 1 year, in 5 minutes, some in 10 years,
Yes.
We know that.
Yes.
So I never stopped focusing on it, and we opened the first market center in Paris, pretty much in January 2017.
That's awesome.
And we kept growing, and today there is over 40 market centers all over France. And so, yes, it did have a big impact on the growth share. So my profit share, and it's a mistake, I realized listening to you both, is during this time I could have worked on the profit share in the US. But like I said, it wasn't on the top of my mind. I realized after. And in 2017, it was $300.
Yeah.
But then in 18, it was $7,000.
Wow.
Okay, in 19, it was 16,000. In 20, it was 31,000. So you see, there is,
Yeah.
in 21, it was 68,000. In 22, it was 91,000.
Wow.
In 23, it was 90,000. And in 24, was 66,000. The economy is slowing down. In France, there is a shift, going on. But just to show you, because I think that's what is important to all of us, it looks like nothing when you start. And I remember the very first profit share I got in America, I think they were still sending us a check.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
And I think the amount of the check was less than the stamp. And I said, why? Wow. I was like, But all that to say that, this company is offering us opportunities that are not only to achieve dreams that are bigger than we can ever think, because when we're talking about positive impact on people, we're talking about thousands of people today, and families, next to those people. So for me, my ultimate dream always, Linda, was that any people that would come and share time with us, okay, we are not a prison, we cannot, even if we want to get the back door as tight as we can and give them so much that they don't want to leave us, some of them will, because maybe the real estate is not for them. But my dream is that none of them believe that they wasted time, and all of them grow as a person.
Absolutely.
Okay? And hopefully maybe they found their why, and we're going to stay best friend, and they will come back to us as a customer, or But and you've seen that all your life. You're the best one to talk about that.
Yeah. A couple of things you said. First of all, it's terrifying to me to think, who are the people out there that we are not knocking on their door? And what if someone had not knocked on your door and asked you to go to an event? So I'm terrified when you say that, because I think there's so many other people out there that we're not willing to have the courage to try to change their life. So that's first of all. And then second of all, as you were talking about your numbers going up, something that people miss in profit share that's beyond the money is the advantages and the opportunity that it gives you. And I know in 2023, you had some situation with your mom. So talk about what growth share, profit share allowed you to do during that very pivotal period of your life.
So, it's tough to live far away from your family, you know that. And, luckily I was good with the technology, so I could see my mom and my brother and my family often on video. Um, Early on, I didn't always have the money to fly whenever I wanted to go see them. And then, my business grew and I could do it more. And when I joined Keller Williams, my business grew also because, I'm a partner investor in the market center here with the person who invited me to family reunion. So, and as much as he's a partner also in France, because I give back to him the opportunity that he gave me. And what happened, Linda, with the growth share was absolutely incredible, because in your life, even if your business grow, you still have your expense here, and you cannot, toward my wife and my family, I have 2 children. You cannot spend the whole money saying, okay, now I'm going to travel for my mom every month or every other month, and make you and put you at risk,
Yeah.
And thanks to this growth share that I described to you, when it wasn't plain, I was originally with this growth share, I was taking them once a year on a cruise.
Yeah.
So she would come to Florida, we would go on a cruise. She was so happy. Her and my stepfather, so happy. And then she got sick, so the last time we went on vacation as a family, there was enough money for me to invite my mom, my stepfather, my brother, I have one brother, my sister-in-law, and my 2 nephews, and my children, and my wife and myself to a resort, in Dominican Republic. And they flew my mom on a wheelchair.
Wow.
It was the last vacation together because from there it was a neurological problem, and she went down, and the situation got worse. And in July 23, she left us for a better world.
Yeah. Oh,
In the
wow.
meantime, at the end of 22, we could show them a new car. So they had their last new car, let's say for her, we moved them from the south of France where they were next to my brother in Paris, and found a condo for them. She could spend the last few months, close to my brother and my nephew, who are younger than my children. So it was very important. And that's also how I kept her alive, because I said you have to fight for them, as much as you can. And you also have to decorate your new condo for our dad, because it's important that it's beautiful, and you always did the decoration, And she did all that the best she could, And I came every time I wanted, and I spent a lot of time with her. And in July, I was there with my wife, and we had the last lunch, and the night after, she left.
Gosh.
But doing all that could not be possible with extra money that you don't have to worry about. You know what I mean? It's absolutely amazing, Linda, and I will be grateful forever to you and Jim and Nikki and Gary, who are really close to me. Mark also in our region.
Yeah.
Always been next to me and helping me. And more than anything, Andrew and Ramona, who own my market center, and I'm my partner for 19 years. And also the whole team of the people who got involved in Keller Williams France,
Yeah.
because without those talents also and those people, we would have never grown like we did, And then everything is about leadership,
Yeah, I love it. And you remind me of when you tell that story, which I love those stories, because you can't, when you're trying to get people to understand and open the gift of profit share, that's the reasons. Those are the reasons, the opportunities that you're going to get later for the things in life that are so important, but it's hard because you have to do the work and you have to wait for those opportunities to step into them, right? And it reminds me of a quote that John Maxwell says, you cannot be outrageously generous if you're broke. And so profit share, to me, I love all the stories that I've heard of people that are able to provide experiences for the people who have loved and cared for them their whole life, right? And so to be able to do that and have those memories, to me, that's priceless. I don't know how you ever put a price tag on that. I want to ask a couple of questions, Preston, if you have anything. I want to ask, did you know somebody in France? Because I know everybody's going to want to know. Did you know somebody in France? I know you're from France. So why did you come to the States in the first place? And did you have a contact already there, or did you have to go start cold calling? Let's talk about that a little bit.
So to answer in order of timing, I ended up coming to the US because I met my wife in 1991 here in Boca Raton.
Okay.
I was traveling, and because I love to travel, and I fell in love, and she fell in love, and I kidnapped her. I love to say that I kidnapped her in France because I had a business in France.
Yeah.
So she lived with me in France for 5 years. Our daughter Sophie is born in France, and because our daughter was born, I had to ask my wife at one point, honey, where would you like, our children to grow? In France or in the US? And you came here, and we went to visit few areas of France. It didn't work out, and then she said, I would love to go back to Florida. And I said, okay, it's my time to get out of the comfort zone, leave my family, and move to the US.
Yeah.
And that's how I moved to the US on July 1496, which is Revolution Day in France. So
Yes.
that was my own revolution. And we landed in Miami. And to be honest with you, Linda, I had no clue what I said, because I grew up no more than 2 miles away from the whole family.
Oh, that's
Sunday lunch every Sunday, Wednesday dropping my daughter to my mom. So you know what I learned, Linda? I learned the word habit. And I realized how hard it is to get rid of an habit, because from one day to another, you're landing on the other side of the world and they are gone.
yes. Oh,
And
wow.
some of them are important, yeah? Like a tea or a coffee with your grandma, hugging
Yeah.
your parents, having lunch. So that was it. I did the 10 years with this company that I told you, with the gold jacket. And it was very nice. I grew with them and I learned a lot in the US. And then I got some calls. Do you want to drink a coffee? Do you want to go for a coffee? And it was Mr. Andrew Barbar. Finally, I told him, listen, stop calling me for coffee because I drink only tea. So he said,
That's so funny.
see, so be careful what we ask.
I'm going to change my text to my call to a coffee or a tea.
Exactly. So, and that's how we started, and I discovered Keller Williams. And from then, receiving the email from Gary telling me, do the list, do your Disney, imagine how it could be. I did a list of the people I knew in France, and luckily I had many friends. I like to have friends more than having enemy. And so I approached those people and I talked about the idea, I also start taking interns from business school in Paris and in France, Paris, Lyon, and Bordeaux from 2008. So I was bringing interns from France here in our market center. I wanted to see the reaction of young people toward our model because
Yes.
understand at the time we could not have open anyway because the agents were on salary. Okay, office were only 4 people, 5 people average. It was a different market.
Yeah.
And nobody had ever seen a model like ours. And I said to those young people, listen, I'm going to welcome you here. They have to do at the end of their study an internship. So I welcome some of them for 3 months, 6 months, sometime a year. And some of them are here in this city. They end up staying here and opening a business. And I still see them. Some of them are back in France. I'm in contact with them. And over the years, this happened, and we always talk at Keller Williams about our attitude and our actions. And one day in 2014, I have a call from a customer of mine who's a doctor next to Monaco. And he says, Stephan, a friend of mine talked to me and he's looking for an internship for his son who loves real estate. Could you welcome his son? because I remember, I remember when my daughter came and you help her, start her study in Palm Beach, you had an intern in the car and you told me the story of, taking interns to test so, luckily he saw me with the interns, and when the friend asked, do you know somebody? He said, yeah, I know somebody. So that's funny how the dominoes sometimes line up, And I welcomed this young man, Jérôme is his name. He
I
stayed
think I
for a
met him.
year. You met Jérôme,
Yeah.
absolutely, multiple times. And Jérôme stayed for a year with me. Then from that, I asked him, I asked his parents and him if he would like to go to Orlando at the time. We went in Orlando at the time in 2014. I think that was one of the last family reunion for Mark at the Mark Willis,
Yeah.
We closed the convention center with Mark, talking with him, and we met many people and the team of Worldwide, and from that the conversation started, and we added some people around the conversation, created a core group, and from that we end up opening France.
Wow, that's exciting. So has the
Yeah.
model, because I know in some countries that is the problem. I know London had similar issues with the way agents were used to working. So have the agents modified how they work now, or have you had to modify the KW model for them?
So you're right. In England, they had some challenge. I think it's also due to the commission structure, that they have very low commissions, so it means way more volume, of business. But in France, it's pretty much like in the US.
But how did you handle them wanting a salary?
Yeah, no, you're right. You have a good memory. In the meantime, things change, and some company in the meantime, during this time, things change in France, and they went from not 100% of the companies, but they went from the salary to the independent. So can you believe that that was an amazing,
Well, that's perfect. Just open that door right up.
thanks God, yeah,
Yeah.
signs, the signs. And things line up better to be able to adapt, and to bring finally, it was good timing to bring the franchise there, Then, it's people are adapting to Keller Williams. They have to believe into it. It doesn't happen overnight again, because I think, and you know that because you talk to many people and you go everywhere around the world. I would say that, for example, bringing a franchise like, I don't know, Jimmy John's or Subway and doing sandwiches is not Keller Williams. Keller Williams is like, a diamond where the core of the diamond is the culture, and then there is every face of the diamond is one thing, and everything's connected.
Yeah.
And you cannot really, if you start not applying the model, you may find issues, in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
So
That's so true. That's so true.
So for everyone to understand that, it's a big task. You know what I mean? And you know that because if I'm not mistaken, you own a region, yeah?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So
We have Southern Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
so I'm sure you have your own challenge with some of the OP or some of the leadership that, takes time to apply the model or to abandon themselves to the model. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And to agree to believe into it.
Yeah. Instead of buy the franchise model, which is fantastic, and then do it their own way. Yeah, it happens, unfortunately. We have
It
some great
does.
operators in our region, so we're blessed.
You're lucky.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, Press, do you have any questions? We lost you for some reason. The youngest, for some reason, is having terrible time with his technology today. If you want to, Press, you can text it to me and I'll ask. But okay, one last thing I want to hit on, and then if Press comes back in or if he wants to text me his question, that'll be great. To me, one of the greatest joys of really taking either profit share or growth share and treating it like a business is you really are in the business of changing lives. You're building wealth. Yes, we say building wealth, changing lives, leaving a legacy. Is there any particular story that you can think of because you had the courage to bring KW to somebody that you really saw their life change, and therefore you get the blessing. Because I always say it's, I did thousands of buyers and sellers, thousands. Not one of them had tears in their eyes and looked at me and said, "You changed my life forever," right? And so the joy of knowing that you literally changed someone's life, to me, is enough to do profit share, right? Even if the money didn't show up. But can you think of a particular story? I mean, yours is a wonderful story of lives changed, of course. But is there anyone in particular?
Yeah, I have a big example, Linda, because beside what I could do with my mom, and that's the biggest of the biggest, My mom passed, like I told you, in July 2023. So my desire early on in 24, I asked my wife if she was okay with it, and she said yes. And I said, we're going to go do a tour of, 25 market center, because obviously we cannot do all of them in one time. And why I wanted to do this tour is to thank them. Number one, pour value into them, okay, for like 2 or 3 hours, and give back to the agent. And then explain them what happened with my mom, how I could thank them, because through them, through $1 or $2 or $5 here and there, it became the money that allowed me to spend this time with my mom. And I always end up this meeting in every one of those market center, wishing them to take it seriously and to be able themselves at one point to help a member of their family, a friend, anyone around them that they would like themselves, going on amazing trip with their children, whatever they dream, but not to ignore it and to really believe into it. And I show them the calculation. You remember the calculation where we said, listen, if you're getting like even a few $1,000s a year, okay, right now at the bank, you're getting, it's a little bit better now, but at the time it was not even 1%.
Yeah.
How much money to get 10,000, even 10,000 or 5,000 you have to have in the bank?
Yes.
It was in million, okay?
Yeah.
And we don't have, all of us, millions in our bank. And when you're talking about people crying, I've seen people crying in every one of those market centers, Linda.
Yeah.
And that was a lot because, my wife is a S on the disc. She's very worried. The whole story of what I was trading and coming back from family reunion, I talked to Linda, I talked to Jim, I did that, I did this. She was thinking I was losing it, sometime. And going to do the tour was to thank them, but at the same time, I realized my wife realized what was this, 10, 15 years, 20 years almost of craziness, talk, and things like that, And when you're talking about, abundance of amazing feeling in your heart, it's like a firework, Linda. Every time I left a market center, and sometimes I was doing 2 a day, and I'm sure you did that in your life many times, but you're so excited by what you've seen. And those tears were tears of goodness, you know what I mean? Not sadness. And that fuel you for the day and the next market center.
Yes.
I had hard time to sleep at night in every hotel. And we drove almost 3,000 miles.
Yes, that's so good. Yeah. I was listening to somebody the other day and they were talking about, what are you so passionate about that you feel so compelled about that you'll be willing to eat all the crap sandwiches you have to eat along the way, right? And that's really what you have to do. Number one, you have to believe that that feeling is in your heart for a reason. It's good and it means you should keep moving forward with it. Even if it's hard, it won't feel hard because it's so important to the world and to you. So I love that. Press has one final question as we wrap up here. And I love this question because right now we are all in all the regions looking to open the last opportunities of market centers that we have available. We probably maybe have 5 in our territory. I know South Florida probably has a few more options, but there's not a lot, right? But there are some. So we're out looking for those next round of people who are willing to say yes. So Press's question to you is, what was it that made you say yes to opening that market center back when you did, when so many people were saying no?
You're talking about the market center in Boca Raton in 2007 when the market was going to tank? Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, Press. God has his eyes on us.
Yes.
I was for 10 years with this company where the leader was the total opposite of what you see at Keller Williams. He was like a dictator that would not respect people. The employees were living at night scared to face him, to tell them they didn't want it to work anymore in his office, you know. And I had those phone calls from Andrew, who I promised, you're so unbelievable on each one of those phone calls that if I do anything, I will do it with you. I go at the time, it's not my mom, but my grandma, her mom, who was sick of the heart. I go in France, okay, in June to see my grandma who's sick. I come back and press. You know what? The sign was gone. The guy was so much after the money and not the people that he dropped the sign, and he took at the time, you remember, Linda, when GMAC was growing quick to go do an IPO and or sell it, you know, and they were giving money to people to take the franchise. So they gave him some money, and he changed the sign without asking his top 5. I came back, I'm looking, I go back to him, I said, sir, why did you do that? He said, yeah, you know what? I don't give a shit about your problem. I'm like, number one, it's not the way I speak. It's not the way I feel, and it's okay. In the back pocket, the phone was ringing. Guess who was it?
Oh, I love it.
Andrew Barbar. I think your sign is gone and you promised me. So press, I kept my promise.
That's awesome.
I followed Andrew, and here we are 19 years after, and I have zero regret. I am with one of the best person I met in my life. We are profitable. I think we are in the top 3 in our region, and we have an amazing leadership, an amazing friendship, an amazing partnership, and we are fueled by gratitude.
That's so awesome. That is amazing. I love it. I knew this story was going to be great. I just knew it. So we're so thankful that you're willing to share it with us. And I want to help you when I go to France in September. So I'm going to get you the dates that I'm going to be in Paris, and anything I can do for your market centers, whatever I can do, I'm going to help you. I love this story. I think most people would have said no to so many things. You were from a different country. You opened a market center here. You joined a company that probably even at the time definitely wasn't who we are today. So I feel like this was destiny for you and for you to change a bunch of lives. And I'm sure there were some hard times to leave all your family and do all that. But look at the good that you've done because you were willing to say yes.
Yeah. But again, Linda, thanks to people like you, one time at family reunion and you can understand a lot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You in the hallway, you on the stage, Mo, let's not forget Mo. We owe her so much, and she came in France and she came to visit us. But you will be always welcome in France. Know that. They need you, by the way, because like I said, it's not always easy to apply everything. And they will be very happy to see you. Very happy.
That's awesome.
Same thing for Press, by the way. I hope, Press, you're traveling.
I got a feeling he's going to try to be in my pocket when I go. He's like, sorry, Anna, I got to go with my mom, which I did have my assistant look up my growth share because I never look at it. It goes straight to my accounting person. And I'm actually kind of shocked. I got more than I thought. It was almost $2,500 last year. And I don't even look at it. So I just happened to say, hey, why don't you look it up and tell us what it is? So I should probably look at that more often and be more grateful for you and for what you've done there. So thank you. So remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you could pay Press and I is to pass this podcast about profit share along to anybody at Keller Williams that you feel would benefit. And don't forget, we have an amazing new book called The Profit Share Advantage, and it is on Amazon for, I think, $3.99. We did hit the #1 bestseller list. Thank you, everybody. But grab that Profit Share book. 2,000 people have downloaded or bought the book. So we are here to make a movement out of profit share. We believe in it. We know the lives that it's changed. You just heard one of them. And so we are on a mission to change more lives and to get more people to understand and get the gift of profit share so that you can do those amazing things with your mom or your dad or whoever is important to you when the moments matter the most. So, Stephan, thank you so much. Press, thank you. I will see you next podcast.